I love how Ollie was like, "Oh, I'm not having any vodka because I don't really want to drink that much." But then he didn't accept the small beer because he said it'd take him 2 minutes, so he's gone for the pint can.
Yeah. This week's on Alcoholics Anonymous. So the boys,
Hello.
welcome back to podcast number 3.
Hello.
After the Austrian Grand Prix, what did we think?
I thought it was a very good race. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was class. I actually watched every single session this week. I watched both quali sessions and I watched both races. Did you?
No, no, I didn't. I watched one of the practices, qualies and the sprint, but I was watching the Ironman, so I couldn't watch it unfortunately.
For viewers who don't know, the Ironman is a local little event in.
Oh, it's massive. It's worldwide.
Yeah,
worldwide
well,
triathlon.
in our hometown.
Oh, right,
it's a nice little,
Yeah.
It's a big do. So.
It's a big old do, yeah.
So welcome to the Formula One podcast where none of us have actually watched the Grand Prix.
No, you watched it, so you're going to sort of lead the conversation here. I watched.
Well,
we just watched
you ask us
the highlights.
What
We've got some
we'll
stuff
impart our knowledge on you.
Yeah. First off, we wanted to pay our respects to the driver who lost his life at Spa over the weekend. It was a very tragic, unfortunate event. So we hope they fix the Eau Rouge at Spa.
Yeah,
and
it'd be interesting to see what they do there, because obviously it's such an iconic track, such an iconic corner, and it would be a shame to lose it, but we have to now.
It's 2 drivers in 4 years, isn't it? Young drivers.
I mean, they've known it's had safety concerns for a long time. I mean, I think they should definitely make changes, but it's motorsport, it's always going to be dangerous, isn't it? I think this incident was more on the stewards and the conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful what happened, but anyway, we sort of pay our respects, but we'll
absolutely.
We'll crack on. Yes, so Austria, a couple of
that's a great start, isn't it?
The worst problem having on a balcony. You're gonna have to at some point edit all this out.
No.
You're gonna start the conversation here. I'll slowly get on to.
Okay, well, I'll start.
I didn't really watch it.
I thought it was a good race. I think there was quite a lot of racing happened. Verstappen finally had his leading every lap streak broken since leading halfway through the Miami Grand Prix.
Not even halfway. It was 10 laps in or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous. And then he's still pretty much he only lost 1 lap, and then the rest of the laps he led.
Still ahead.
Yeah. I think we saw some exciting action. I think we saw lots of drivers. Bit of a mixed up grid compared to normal.
Definitely.
We saw Lando up there, we saw the Ferraris up there.
We did.
We saw a bit of a mixed up grid with the starting order, with Perez starting P15. Overall, good weekend, I think.
Very good weekend.
Is that his 4th time missing Q3?
In a row, yeah.
In a row?
Yeah.
First time that's
it's ever happened in a Red Bull, isn't it?
Since I forgot my fact.
Oh no!
Is it? Just make it up like you normally do.
He's a Red Bull driver.
He was, yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's David Coulthard.
Hey, well done.
I think.
I know.
That's probably completely wrong.
It'll be Mark Webber now or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, but I just like to.
Can I just sort of interject there?
Go on then.
Norris's spectacular weekend. What'd you top?
I don't want to wear it out. He's framed. He's framed in my room, and I don't want to touch it. So
that's all right. That's what I'd ask.
He uses it for naughty things. It's not going to see the light of day again.
I can't go online. Anyway, sorry, you were saying. My apologies.
You need to review that comment, please.
Bye monetization.
So, yeah, no, probably the best race of the season. I mean, I can't think of a better one.
I think the whole weekend was class.
Whole weekend was class. It was a brilliant event.
Sprint
just
was
in general.
Real, yeah.
Sprint was good because that obviously had the weather factor as well.
I think, speaking of the sprint, what do we think of the whole new sprint format? Are we liking it?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's not. I know some people absolutely just sort of shit on it, but I don't mind it. It switches up a Grand Prix weekend, I guess. But I guess.
I mean, the big contention is obviously last year, whereas the results of the sprint defined the starting order for the Grand Prix. Obviously, this year you've got a separate quali session.
Yeah.
When I first heard about that, I wasn't too keen, but I think it means the drivers are more willing to push harder in the sprint because they know if there's a big mistake. And I like the fact there's more racing on the Friday. I think, you know, it makes the weekend more exciting. So
yeah,
I like it.
I mean, it was interesting for Mercedes actually because Russell and Hamilton they started. Where did they start? It was like 14th or 15th, wasn't it, something like that? Or because I know Hamilton didn't make it out of Q1.
Yeah.
This is for the sprint.
Yeah, sprint quali's one.
Yeah.
Was he not like 17?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Well, this is a good talking point because you saw why he got knocked out of Q1 with Verstappen blocking him.
Time deletion. Oh, was it?
Well,
yeah. Well, they were racing down the straight, weren't they?
Yeah. So essentially,
side by side.
Hamilton coming to the last corner. Hamilton hadn't been told about Verstappen coming from his race engineer, so he just, you know, it happens, accidentally blocked him. And Verstappen thought, you know, right, he's blocked me, so Hamilton starting his flying lap, Verstappen blocked him into turn 1, but purposefully, and didn't get a penalty.
Yeah, there was.
It's not on that.
It was kicking off on Twitter.
It was. Toto was
well,
not happy.
What is it? You had the what are they called? The Verstappen shaggers and Team LH.
Fucking hell.
Is that what they're called?
That's what someone calls them.
Oh my goodness.
A certain YouTuber.
A certain YouTuber who
All right.
is probably the GOAT aside from ourselves.
Who?
He's called Rocket Powered Mohawk.
Oh no,
You
yeah,
know
I
him.
know. I don't watch a lot of him, to be fair, but I watched the odd one.
His rants are just, I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
So what have we got on our list for today?
Sorry, I'm just paying the siren.
Paying no attention.
Yeah, no, the siren.
ADHD's kicking in.
McLaren, yes.
McLaren. More McLaren.
McLaren upgrades. More specifically, Norris upgrades.
Norris upgrades look very good.
Very, very good.
Very quick. Nice to see them competing with the likes of, ahead of Aston Martin, ahead of Mercedes, up there with Ferraris who have taken a step forward this weekend. Just
very much so. I think it's good weekend for Ferrari. Sainz had his penalty, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Norris pumped him up, but he's still without the penalty, he's still P5, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was racing with the big boys. You know, he was racing the Ferraris. He overtook Hamilton at one point.
Yeah.
He beat both of the Aston Martins. Now, if we were saying that at the start of the season,
you'd have been
in eight races' time, the Aston Martins wouldn't be able to touch the McLaren.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, saying they can't touch them might be a bit extreme.
But it was interesting though.
I need to big up Aston Martin for those shares, don't I?
You got shares now?
Minority share.
Me and Lawrence go way back.
I bought 100 shares.
So Aston Martin, they had upgrades the week before, didn't they? And then they had upgrades this week. I don't think it was that many though, but he still didn't finish that high.
Yeah, we were expecting more from them, I think, weren't we?
Yeah, Alonso said in his post race, he said they just didn't have the pace and they're trying to just figure it out, which is a fairly sort of generic comment, but
could be track specific.
Yeah,
you never know. I'm trying to think the characteristics of Austria and if they're significantly different to any of the other tracks, really, but because it's long straight, heavy braking zone, pretty much, with a bit of, you know,
I think it's very high.
bit of track limits.
Bit of track limits. Oh, big talking contention. We'll come on to that, I think. But yeah, lots of DRS zones. I think DRS defined a lot of the weekend. I think two main points with DRS. One was at the start of the Grand Prix when Sainz was right up behind Leclerc, coming onto his radio saying, "I'm quicker than Leclerc, let me past." What was it, the sprint? And he was like, I can seriously fight Verstappen here. And Ferrari came on the radio and said, "No, we're not letting you past." Basically, their theory was that the only reason he looked so quick was because the DRS was so powerful that he was being towed along by Leclerc. Also shown with how Lando managed to stay so close to the top 5 because he was being towed the whole way through the race. So I think DRS was a big factor this weekend.
Interesting take.
How many DRS zones in Austria?
3.
There's
big
3.
ones. Yeah. And right after each other as well. So, you know, if you benefit from one, you can kind of hold on until the next lap.
Yeah.
So what have you got? You've got down the front straight, after turn 1,
it goes right
up the hill,
down right,
and then it loops sort of. It's kind of like, hold on, it's like that, isn't it? It looks like a cap.
Mate, it's exactly like that.
It's similar.
Looks more like a chicken nugget.
I think that's what it is.
We'll give you that.
Am I right in
You are spot on in not so many ways.
Fair enough. I like looking at this.
What did you get in art at school? Were you good?
We don't talk about school grades. That's a topic for another day.
Heard that before.
Another day, and not this podcast.
But yeah, swiftly moving on from my grades.
You were in the news for your grades, weren't you?
Do you know what else was in the news? Track limits. That was in the news.
Lovely.
I'll give that a minor round of applause.
Track limits.
Track limits. Now we had a disagreement over
Yes, we did.
Okay.
about this. So, do you want to state your case first?
Not really, no, because I've kind of changed my mind.
Oh, so you're both agreeing now?
I'm not sure fully. I'm not sure entirely agree. But you go on. You state your case.
Yeah, this is new to me.
So, well, I'll preface it with the. It wasn't an argument as such, but it was a disagreement.
Oh, yeah.
If we'd been in the same room, we might have broken out into scrap. But fortunately, I was on the M40. You were, I don't know where. And yeah, my opinion was that they were, that it was right that all these penalties were being dished out because the drivers weren't sticking to the limits, and therefore they were gaining incremental points throughout the race. And the drivers, and I guess you've got to trust the driver's opinion on this, say that all those little incremental gains, they do add up ultimately. So there has to be a deterrent as to why you can't make these little moves. I also watched the races video on gravel traps. Very, Monday nights.
There were some points on that, Some of the corners should have gravel traps. Instead of just.
But they were talking about like how expensive it is to maintain a gravel trap, and other racing categories race at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah.
It's sort of having a gravel trap for them is significantly worse than Formula One cars.
Yeah.
In terms of bits getting stuck in the bodywork, and also not having the money to replace parts when they get damaged in a gravel trap.
I mean, my argument to it basically was, if they're all pushing their absolute hardest, they're all going to push it slightly over the edge of the track, and if they all do, they're all getting that same advantage.
Yeah.
It's not as if they're taking an actual shortcut and cutting out a corner. They're going off by a few centimetres. Now, if they all do that, then so be it.
But it's just like, I think Bolton said, I think if they're going flat out, like, you just can't get within the boundaries, I don't think. Like, they are pushing, but...
And there's other factors involved. There's like wind, and they're on such a fine margin.
Yeah.
I think it's to be expected.
There was a couple of drivers who didn't even impede them. I know Bottas is one of them.
I don't think...
Lando.
Was it Zhou? But Zhou, the whole weekend, didn't get any... Not a single lap deleted. Flagged. Do you know how many laps were reviewed for deletion in the race?
I know.
Well, no.
Go on.
Teacher.
Oh, okay. Was it over 1,000?
Yeah, it was over 1,000.
Oh, right,
so every lap, an average of 16 cars were reviewed.
Also,
out
pretty
of
much
20.
all of them.
So basically, every car coming round that corner every time was reviewed for potential track limit breach. Now, this is my argument. If it's every car on every corner, they're all getting the same advantage.
Yeah, but my thing is that because of the growth of the F1 car, it's just getting wider. I know, but it's like you said, there's one weekend a year where they're going to have an F1 race, they're going to have a Grand Prix, aren't they? But like for the rest of the year, I just think maybe they should make an exception because there's that many penalties. If they do that again next year, it'll just be penalties on penalties kind of thing.
Another point that was made in the races video was that it was very heavily policed this time.
Was it?
They had more facilities to police it, didn't they?
They had more facilities to do so. So it could...
What was the reason behind that, though?
Because there was a similar incident last year, I'm pretty sure.
Sorry. He's pissing about with his drink.
I feel like a naughty school child.
He's making a really good point here. Just because you didn't agree with it, you bloody...
No, sorry.
More alcohol in the blood system.
No one noticed, did they? We'll cut that bit out.
Besides that,
Man, hang on, you poured the vodka in front of the camera and then the energy drink. Bear in mind the cheap.
No need to make a big point about it.
I think you should open it prior, to be honest. It would have been flat.
You live and learn. It's only episode 3, okay? Sorry, your point was.
My point.
Is this a Formula 1 podcast? Sorry.
My point was merely that I think the stewards did the right thing to review as much as they did and enforce penalties in the way that they did.
Yeah.
But do you not think they're like? You don't want to do the same next year. It's not enjoyable watching, is it?
No.
They're going to have to make an exception, I think. Or they just tell the drivers not to do it, but they're obviously still going to do it.
I think if they're going to do it, then settle it during the race. Have the facilities to do it. You know, like you said.
How many stewards would you need to review a 16 a bloody lap? You know what I mean?
16 stewards. You know, 1 per car. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's
like a lap there's only like a minute something though, isn't it?
minute
Like
5
yeah.
or something like that.
But you know, they can't be deciding the race after the race is finished. It's like this Abu Dhabi 2021. The reason they couldn't take it to court was, I know, sorry to mention it again, but it's because they didn't want the championship being decided after the checkered flag because it's not good for the sport.
Yeah.
Same in a different level, the same for this weekend.
That's ferocious, mate.
That came from the heart.
I don't think you're agreeing with him anymore because you said before that you slowly agreed with him.
No,
I've
I've moved slightly further towards your camp, but
Yeah.
I still think it needs to change massively.
Yeah. Well, but again, like, do you think they just? I think they maybe just widen it by half a foot on like turn 9, for example, like the hard hitting corners, the one just